Thank you. Brothers and sisters, wasn't it absolutely great when you woke up on Wednesday morning to hear that there was a general strike across the whole of Europe? But wasn't it despairing, wasn't it frustrating, and wasn't it bitterly disappointing for us that we were not part of that strike? We've heard powerful testimony today from workers involved in that struggle. We've heard why all over Europe they pulled down the shutters on the politicians, on the banks, on the big businesses that exploit us, and said enough is enough and no to austerity. In the international session just before, we heard Miguel Sanz Alcantara speak powerfully about how in Spain and Catalonia, every day 500 families are evicted from their homes and made homeless by the banks in Spain. In the last few months, 5 people have committed suicide rather than face eviction from their home. And as a result of massive campaigns organised by community groups and the unions and strike action, the government has finally this week been forced to call a halt to many of those evictions. Protests and strike action work. All workers know this. This conference shows that. And if our trade unions in Britain were half as angry and half as determined as we are here today, and as our members are too, then we would have been on strike with those workers on Wednesday. Yeah. The TUC and Labour seem to have made some sort of pact to sit it out, to wait until 2015. Well, I haven't signed up to that, my members haven't signed up to that, and I don't believe that any of you here have signed up to wait either. We only need to look at the failed privatisations of the past, such as rail and such as energy, to see how very difficult they are to reverse once they've been made, no matter how much people want to and they do. The future of the NHS in particular relies on us acting now and not waiting. My PCS members in the Department of Work and Pensions administer the welfare state. We deliver benefits and we deliver job broking services. And we are failing. We are failing 2.5 million people who remain unemployed, particularly the young in this country, 8 million who are underemployed. Accessing benefits is becoming harder and harder, and I have to say, deliberately so. Especially if you are sick and especially if you are disabled. Sanctions are increasing. One of the few areas of growth in this country today is food banks. 4 new food banks open in Britain every week. As benefit rules tighten, then reliance on food banks will grow and grow. And shockingly, the in-work poor stand in line with those out of work to receive food parcels, as wages are depressed and workers are crippled by debt and by inflation and by payday loans. Yes, business is booming for Wonga.com. Go on their website, it's a truly shocking experience. They list award after award that they've received, probably from other foul people. But if you'll see some particularly shocking awards, the one that stood out to me perhaps the most was that they've won Customer Experience of the Year. You can sadly kind of imagine that it probably was. They've also, again sadly, won Fastest Growing Business in Europe. It's becoming increasingly obvious to us that austerity is a cover for big businesses to maximise their profit at our expense. We cannot let them. Sainsbury's saw profits rise this week. Their chief exec defended maximising profit by not paying their workers a living wage, while he himself trousered an annual salary this year in excess of £3 million. Vodafone and Amazon and Starbucks were grilled by MPs, but that is all. Their refusal to paid tax goes unchallenged. The government are not stopping them. Companies like A for E and like G for S continue to rip us off and continue to be able to have multi-million-pound contracts, even when it's been demonstrated clearly that the services that they provide are shit. And that's a technical term. Again, pocket bonuses of £3 billion. But pensioners and the poor will fear putting their heating on once again. Last year in Tory Britain, and think how much prices have risen, so think how much worse it will be this year. We're still the 7th richest in the country in the world, and yet still in the 7th richest country in the world, 27,000 people died with cold contributing to their death. That's 9 people per hour dying from the cold. Yesterday was Children in Need Day. Well, in Tory Britain, every day is Children in Need Day. 3.6 million UK children are living in poverty. And I mean real poverty. That is 27% of our children living in poverty, and that figure is rising every day. The asset strippers are in power, ripping away our rights and our services that we have fought for decades to provide. We are here today because we believe we can make a difference. If we stick together, we can be that difference. 1 year ago, we were preparing for November the 30th. Turned out to be the biggest strike in our history. We did it then, and we can do it again. Nothing I have heard today, and nothing that I hear in the workplaces I organise, tells me that workers in this country have lost one jot of confidence since last year. We've not lost confidence, it's our leaders that have lost their buckle. Let's be very careful about continuing to ask the TUC, as they should, but continuing to ask the TUC to organise a general strike. We must not give our weak trade union leaders an excuse to keep on doing nothing themselves. Every trade unionist must argue for action now. We are doing that in PCS. Mark Sawaka has agreed to put to the December meeting of our National Executive Committee a motion to ballot for strike action now and to take action in the new year on our own if necessary. Conference, we wouldn't be on our own for very long. We must break the deadlock. And just to say, Mark Sawaka cannot be here today for personal family reasons, but sends a message of support and solidarity to this conference. Conference today, I got off the tube at Westminster and I retraced some of the steps that I took on October the 20th, just a few weeks ago, with hundreds and thousands of other workers wanting to march against austerity. And sadly, that march took us nowhere. But today, those same steps brought me here, an inspirational day. On Wednesday, we watched as workers of the world began to unite, and we were with them in spirit. Next time, we must be with them on strike. We will be.